Hello, welcome. This is Birdy. Today we will start explore and explain tools in the shelf tools. Today we will take, for example, flip fluid from objects at the tools. We will explain most thing about it. Then when we finish it, we will move to the next tools. So let's get started. So as we can see here, we opened Houdini. Let's change the interface, as you know. Okay. Of course, what I did, I explained it before, but I will explain it again. We split the. Come on. We split the panel to left and right, or top and bottom. Okay, so we just use the shortcut Alt right click, so and to mirror it, to make it like mirror, this is here and this is there, Control click. Okay, so let's start. We just will go to, we will make we will type test. Let's choose big head. Okay, we have the big head here. Okay, let's make a transform. We can do both of things. We can make a node as a transform. Okay, and start to move it upwards like this, or we just we use the node itself and we move it from the node. Okay, both is okay, but the professional way is to make a transform node to move it. Okay, so we move it just 2 meters. Of course, 1 and 2 and 3, this the unit here is a meter. Every one is a meter. 1 meter, 2 meter, 3 meter, and so on in Houdini. Okay, so we have the big head. First thing. Second thing, we need to make it flip fluid from object. Okay, we will select. He told me here, select object to convert it to a flip fluid. Okay, this is the object. I will select it and I hit enter. Okay, so as we can see here, it built for us a node tree contain flip object. Okay, then flip solver, merge, gravity, output. Okay, we can do all this from scratch, but this is the advantage of using the shelf tool. It do the work for us. Okay, all we have to do is just to adjustment and make some change or add more nodes. Okay, so as we can see here, if we hit play, the particle will start to fall down. Okay, because we have a gravity here. If we disable the gravity and we play, there will be no fall off or fall down, right? So let's make a ground also to see the water crash or splash on the ground. So let's make a ground like this. Type a ground and add it to the merge and Shift R to mirror the nodes. Okay, it's important to make the ground as a static object at the left. Okay, unless if you use mutual. Okay, but in any way, to make it better organize it, you have to put the ground or any static object on the left. Okay, let's hit play again. Okay, so the particle now splashing on the ground, right? Let's increase the number of the particles so we have better detailed fluid, right? Let's say 0.05. So as we can see here, it gives us much more particle. The particles we have here, it's all inside the object, not just the surface. Okay. So this is the trick. It fill the object with particles. Okay, and use the gravity force to make a simulation. Okay, so let's go to the guide. What we see here, particles, as I said earlier. If we check the particles, this is the visualization. This is what we will see in the viewport for the fluid. We can see surface. If we have a surface, yeah, we have a surface. Okay, we can see the velocity. If we have a velocity attribute, of course we don't have right now, and the collision, the particle that will make happen, it will happen collision on it. Okay, so let's go back to the particle. As we see, we have two kind of we have the particle, but its color is changed. Why it's changed? If we go to the particle here, visualization, as I said earlier, we use particle, or it's by default. We can change it to a sphere, but change it to a sphere is not a good idea, because sphere take much time in calculation. As we can see, it start to become much slower, because it calculates shading, meaning the shading and the light on the surface of the particle. So basically it turned it to an object. Every particle turn it to a sphere object. Okay, we don't want that, of course. Let's make it particles. This is the first thing. Second thing, we have color ramp. Visualization type is speed. We choose speed. Speed, there is no attribute called speed on Houdini, but it creates the length of the velocity. Okay, and this length of the velocity, they call it the speed. Okay, so the speed is the length of the velocity. Okay, so here we have, as we see here, we have v. V is a velocity attribute in Vex. It's called v. Okay, and we have here visualization range. It started from 0 to 10. So this speed, okay, of the velocity, it started from 0 to 10. Okay, the length or the speed of the velocity. Okay, so here any particles have 0 speed, it will be like the blue or dark blue. Then any particle had 5, because we have here from 0 to 10, right? So any particle have speed of 5, it will be this blue, this light blue. Then any particle has 10 speed, or it will become white. So that's why we can see here the particle color is changed, because some particles are slow, some particles are faster than the other. Especially the particle that happened collision, or a little slower than the other particle. Okay, so this is the particle. Here just a visualization, and here the control of the visualization. So all this attribute in this or all this parameter on this menu, we can control it here. Okay, we will find here particle, surface velocity, collision pressure. We found it here as well. Particle, surface, velocity, collision, and so on. Okay. So as I said, we increase the number of the particle separation. Let's say 2, and let's hit play. So it becomes much slower because we have lots of particles here. So the computer will make it will take more time in the calculation, or much time in the calculation. Okay. Stop and back. Let's just make it 5 for the demonstration purpose. Okay. So I'm not going to explain much about what is happening. I will explain it in other lesson in more details. Okay. Now we just want to know what this tool doing, right? We have the fluid here, surface as a fluid. Okay. And when we will render this. It will render this node. Any other node behind it, it will render it as well. Okay, let's go back. Let's make a box that can contain this big head that it can collide with. So let's make a box. Here is the box. Let's get inside this box. Let's uniform it. Let's make it like this. Let's delete this this polygon or primitive. We can select it from here. If we choose here, we select the boxing picking, right? And here we select the primitive, right? So here we can select any primitive. We can select, if we right click edge, we can select edge, we can select point, right? But now we need the primitive. Let's select the primitives and let's hit delete, or let's tab and type blast. So basically it deleted the primitive we choose. The primitive is number 5. If we want to see it for every primitive, we can see it here. If we select this tool or this button, we have this primitive called 1, this called 2, and this is called 5. So we choose group or primitive 5, number 5, and we delete it, right? Delete the selected primitive, right? Okay. So next we will make a poly extrude. Let's make the poly extrude from inside, and let's give it output back. Okay, so we can have a thickness for the box we have. Okay, let's increase the size, the scale a little bit like this. Now we want to add or import the box inside the simulation, right? How can we do this? It's very easy. Just go to the because if we go to the Autotop network and we press play, it doesn't read the box yet. Okay, because the box is out of the Autotop network. We have to insert it or import it inside. It's very easy. All we have to do just to go to the collision. Make sure you are not select anything. Make sure you are not select anything. Choose the static object because the box is static, and just select it and press enter. It's written here, select object for static object. Okay, so enter. If we go to the auto DOM network, we press L to lay out the nodes. If we hit play, now it read it. As we can see here, the box is there, and the fluid will collapse with, as we can see here, right? We don't need a ground anymore. We don't need it. I will just remove it. So as we can see here, we have the box, we have the fluid. If we want to render this scene, it's very easy. All we have to do, just go to the material, go to the tools, show tool palette. We need a glass for the box to see what's happening inside it, right? So we go to material, let's glass, let's choose glass. Here is the glass, and let's choose the glass, this glass, right? Okay, we don't need it. Show tool palette. We choose back to the object, go back to the object, and let's go to the box. Let's go to the render menu and material. Let's choose the glass material, right? So we have the glass now, and we have the fluid, the peg head, right? Any node here has this green. It's called this disable, and it will render in the output. Okay, so this box will be rendered, and this fluid will be rendered, and this fluid interior also will be rendered, but we don't need this fluid interior. Okay, let's make the light. Let's go to the light. Let's choose environment light. I have environment light now. Let's choose the environment map. Let's go here to HDRI. Let's choose any. This three HDRI image comes by default with Houdini. When you install Houdini, it will install this three HDRI image with Houdini. Okay. Let's choose any of them. I will choose the first one. Say accept. Okay. If you want, we can have a grid under the box. Let's do a grid very fast. Let's do a grid. Let's get it later inside like this. I move it from here, right? And maybe I can scale it as well, like this. And I can give it any material I want as well also. Let's go to material. Let's choose show tool palette, generic particle, principal shader. Let's choose basic color. Let's say it will be white. Okay. Press L if you want to lay out everything. Uncheck the toolbox. Let's go back to object, and now we have the grid. Let's give it material as well, principal shader, and that's all. Now we can render it, but first we have to go to output, and let's make mantra, and we don't have a camera. Let's make a camera first, new camera. Let's put it, let's check the lock. This locker is for the camera. Let's move this camera a little like this. Okay, of course I use alt and left left mouse or left click, right, to make orientation. Okay, and Alt plus right click is to zoom in and zoom out, and Alt plus middle mouse or the wheel, okay, it's just to move it, right? So I think this is good. Don't need to lock it anymore. Let's go to the out again. Let's choose physical based rendering, okay, and let's save the project or save the file into a project. So when we hit render, it will save the render path on a folder we choose. So let's make a new project. Let's name it, make a new project, make a new folder. Let's save it fluid object, right? Accept, and let's name another folder, fluid, or maybe we can just hit accept. Okay, I think we should make another folder, because the first folder is secondary, I think, or this is the secondary, I'm not sure. Anyway, let's make fluid object, accept, and let's save this file inside it. Save as. It will save it in the folder we just created, right? Let's save it, fluid object, hit accept. Now when we render, it will render inside the folder render in the folder we just created. Okay, here it said valid render current frame. I want to render the whole sequence, not just the current frame, so I will choose render frame range from 1 to, of course this is code. When you see this is a code, and the green code, it have either a code or a keyframe. Okay, so it has here this code is the start, and this code, it will bring us to the last frame. This is the first frame and this is the last frame in the sequence we have. So we will render from 1 to 240, and let's hit render. So start to render. We can check it here if we want. I think we will find it here. Fluid object, new project, and here is the render. We started to see EXR formatted for the render we are doing. Okay. So this was the end of this lesson. I hope you enjoyed, and I see you in the next time in the next lesson. Goodbye.